have the privilege to be here again to speak with Sri M about the topic of consciousness and the Upanishads. So thank you, sir, for meeting with me again. To talk further about this topic, because I think in the first talk we were able to get through a bit of an introduction, I guess, of the mathematics and how it relates to the Upanishads. But in this talk, I wanted to delve a little bit deeper into what the implications of the mathematics and how our consciousness, can be said to be, modeled in a mathematical framework, I guess. In our first talk, I guess, we talked about that mathematics of fractal geometry and how complexity in this universe actually arises through a recursive process of self-similarity, of smaller objects basically combining together to form larger, more complex objects. And for the viewers, for the ones who haven't seen that first talk, it's now available on YouTube. So if you wanted a bit more of a background on fractal geometry itself, you can take a look at the videos. It's in a 6-part series on YouTube. But today I wanted to delve deeper into actually the structure of our consciousness itself. And in our first talk, we talked about consciousness and the fractal geometric pattern of it being kind of a tree-like structure. As we think about consciousness from this structure of this tree-like structure, really mathematical models are only useful if we can use it to describe and validate things that we observe ourselves in our everyday lives. So I'm hoping that this talk we can go a little bit further about the structure of our consciousness and how we can relate that to our everyday lives. Basically.
From the Vedantic point of view?
Yes, from the Vedantic point of view, and how there will be parallels to that, also from kind of in the mathematics.
Parallels you have to find, I don't know much. So, first of all, thank you very much for coming back again to have a discussion to the question of going into consciousness. Vedanta, which is basically the Upanishads, of course. Although there are texts like Brahma Sutra and Bhagavad Gita and so on, but basically it is Upanishad based. I need to go to one or two of the Upanishads to kind of give you an understanding of what the Upanishad's idea of consciousness is. There is one Upanishad called the Mandukya. It's a very small Upanishad. There is only 12 verses. It is the shortest. It deals precisely with the 3 states of consciousness. There is nothing else discussed. Om is discussed, of course, as a practical necessity to touch the 3 layers, the sound of Om. Nothing else is discussed except the 3 levels of consciousness. So, the first level of consciousness is the waking state, where we have to register everything through our senses, sense organs, 5 sense organs, and act accordingly. All the data comes from the 5 sense organs, and our interaction with the outside world, all our, the usual setups of happiness and unhappiness and everything. This is the waking state according to the Mandukya. The next state, now what we should note is that this waking state is common to all human beings, all animals also, but we are now referring to all human beings. Everybody hopefully is awake, seeing everything. Sometimes. Then is the dream state. And the dream state again is common to all. It is in the dream that we work out many of our desires which we could not be fulfilled in the waking state, and also sometimes something to do with out-of-body experience, which gets confused with the subconscious mind's thoughts and dreams, and you get a jumbled up thing. This is the dream according to the Upanishad. The point to note is that when you are dreaming, in that state of consciousness, which is called Swapna Avastha or Tejasa. Tejasa because all dreams are lit, although there is no light there inside. They are all lit. You see them like in broad daylight. Important thing they are trying to say is that in dream state, you are not aware of the waking state. and it is very real. It's very real. When you are dreaming, nobody will think it's a dream. It's only when you wake up to the previous state of wakefulness that you say, oh, this was a dream. And it is so real that even the physiological reactions in the body, they are still there in some way even when you wake up. Suppose a tiger is chasing you in the dream, okay, and you're really running because you don't know it's a dream. Yeah. And then you wake up, oh, there's no tiger, great relief, but your heart is still thumping. And you're sweating, you're perspiring. You might even turn and look if the tiger is around. It's so real. So, in the dream state, you live the life just like you're living in the waking state in a different world.
In fact, between the dream state and the waking world, in fact, you can truly say that the reality that you perceive is all happening in your brain anyway.
Yeah.
The main difference between the waking state and the dream state is that the waking state, you're affected by your senses basically. So you're taking input from your senses, but all those senses are actually still triggering things within your brain, and the reality that you see is all happening in your brain. Now the dream state, again, is happening in your brain, but now the senses are no longer there basically.
No longer. But the point to be noted is that when you dream, it's not a dream. It's real.
Right. Yes.
Only when you wake up and shift, then it becomes a dream. So even some great teachers have said, what if what we think is waking state is also a dream? Because maybe we are into some kind of a sleep, we are dreaming. Maybe one day you stretch your hands and wake up and say, my God, what a long dream. And they think that that could be death. Okay, so two states, waking and dream. And the third is deep sleep, deep dreamless sleep. Now, Sushupti. Now what happens in the dreamless sleep is that you don't recognize anything inside. You don't recognize anything outside naturally. There is no inner cognition and outer cognition. The consciousness is kind of in one.
The separation is almost gone.
Yeah, it all merges back and is one whole.
Yeah.
But the problem is that we are not aware of that at that moment,
right,
when you are in deep sleep. But there seems to be some witness, because when you wake up, we always remember that it was a very blissful sleep. But in sleep you don't remember.
Right.
Okay. And you also remember that this is like when you go to sleep, everybody is equal. There is no servant, there is no owner or proprietor, all gone. Yeah, these are all in the other realms. When you sleep, everybody sleeps equally. If a driver and the person who sits in the car are tired, both of them sleep. They are common, equal. So sleep is also a great equalizer, like death. The Upanishad says it's like death, except that you wake up afterwards. In death you don't. And that's a different thing. You wake up actually, but that's a different.
And in fact, as you wake up, it's almost, for most people, it's not like you wake up and you become completely alert immediately. It's almost like
takes time.
It takes time to actually build up the layers of your consciousness.
Exactly. So, and we always enjoy. You say, what a blissful sleep, especially if you are very tired. So it seems there is a witness there, which is not aware at that point. That is the reason why we, even if the alarm rings 5 times, we again turn around and try to go to sleep, because it's so blissful. What will we do here in the mind? So, nowadays also talking about the fourth state, which is called Turia. Now, Turia means, there is a very difficult to give a definition to Turia. It is the sum total of consciousness. And the only way you can give an example, which is still not perfect, is that suppose in deep sleep you are aware of the complete cessation of all activity and total bliss. Suppose. Normally we are not. Suppose we are aware. Then that is Turia. Unfortunately, you cannot reach Turia through deep sleep. That would have been nice. So this is how the consciousness is presented in the Mandukya Upanishad. One more we can use, which is the Kino Upanishad. It's very interesting because the word Kino means who. It starts by asking the question, who is it that is seeing when I say I see?
Right.
Who is it that thinks when I say I think? Who gives the first impulse of thought? And who is hearing when I say I'm hearing?
That's actually a very difficult question to answer.
And who is the first impetus of life energy that has come? Who is responsible for it? Who is so then it says that which is the essence of all this and from which all these things have come, that cannot be seen by the eyes or by the ears, heard by the ears, or even the mind. When I mind, it probably means ordinary mind. Yeah. So that is the other description of consciousness given in the Upanishad. In fact, the teacher is so frustrated trying to impart this to the disciple that he says, "Na vidmo na vijan." I don't understand how I am going to say this to you.
Right.
So it's like trying to express infinity in words.
Sure. Yes, we cannot.
Yeah, you can only make a symbol. You can't do it. So this is and the aim, according to Upanishads, of human beings is one day to be clear of all the gross things which have accrued on our psyche, to remove them, clean them, and make the mind spotlessly clean, so that in that spotlessly clean mind, the idea of what is this infinite consciousness can be reflected. And this is the aim of spiritual evolution according to Upanishads.